Hi, my name is Bob. I'm a graduating senior at Colorado State University. My major is philosophy with a special focus in ethics. Now, I've been asked by a lot of people to tutor them in ethics. Due to the overwhelming demand, I'm deciding to put lessons in the form of a video series on YouTube. These videos are intended for those who are new to the subject of ethics and morality. As such, what is being taught is at an introductory level. These lessons will cover such things as common issues and moral problems, prominent moral theories, and just the nature of morality itself. In this video, I'm covering what morality is and the various issues found in moral problems. Now, we can begin with morality. Simply put, morality is that which is concerned with right and wrong. What are right are the things we ought to do, and the things that are wrong are that which we ought not to do. Obviously, morality is manifested in our actions and intentions. In other words, the moral status of things are found in the act. For example, when we say murder is wrong, we are really saying that it is the act of murdering is wrong, and as such ought not to be done. Wrongness and rightness are manifested in action and intention. Now, where does morality come from? Well, a small sense or taste of morality can be found in law and religion and things your parents said to you when you were younger. However, none of these are actual systems or theories of morality. Instead, they just offer moralistic principles and claims. Conversely, moral theories are coherent theories that prescribe what is right and what is wrong and what we should and should not do. Moral theories, though, do not arrive at their conclusions arbitrarily. That means without reason or at random. Rather, they arrive at them through their conclusions through careful consideration, thought, and argument. So, what's the point of moral theories? Well, moral theories direct our actions in life, prescribing what we ought and ought not to do, and why. Why is the big thing? Because without an explanation, we really don't have much. I mean, you come across a lot of people who claim that, but can't give a why. It's pretty bad. anyways, moral theories use logic and reasoning to come to their claims. Similarly, we too, as moral agents, must use logic and reasoning. We must pull the rein back on our biases and take a clear, scrutinizing look through an objective lens. Ethics is not easy. It is a complicated field that requires open-mindedness, courage of conviction, and a cold, scholarly rationality to navigate and understand. With that said, I'd like to move to three kinds of issues found in moral problems. Moral problems are particular instances where the rightness or wrongness of an action are disputed or is simply just questioned. For example, should the United States put a military force on the ground to squash the ISIS threat? That'd be an example. The very first step in resolving a moral problem is to distinguish between the factual, conceptual, and moral issues involved. So let's begin by briefly covering these three issues. First, there are factual issues, which, as you may have already guessed, concerns facts. Sometimes the major issue in what we ordinarily call a moral debate is actually a controversy over the facts. For example, suppose a man attacks a police officer with a knife, and so the police officer shoots and consequently kills the assailant. Well, I think most of us would agree that the officer shooting the assailant dead was not wrong. Yet, there is the question of whether the cop's life was in imminent danger at the moment he shot the assailant. If the cop was clearly not in danger at the moment he killed the assailant, even though he was at one time attacked, then such a fact may change the moral status of the cop's actions. For instance, what if I told you that when the cop shot the assailant was already several yards away with his back turned, unarmed, running away? So, in moral problems, all relevant facts must be considered and straightened out. Factual issues can only be appealed to empirical investigation. Without facts, no sort of judgment, even a moral one, can be made. Second are conceptual issues. Conceptual issues concern the meaning of a term and or its application. Specifically, when there is a conceptual issue, there is either a dispute over the meaning of a concept or how a concept applies to a particular situation. For example, Janet says killing is wrong, but Billy says killing is permissible. Obviously, there is a dispute over the meaning of the key term killing. That's what is occurring. That's a conceptual issue. So, Janet probably means the unjustified ending of a life, while Billy means the justified taking of a life. Obviously, there is an issue with the concept of killing that must be resolved. And here is a more complex example. Some of us would say suicide is wrong. And let's propose that suicide is any action in which a person knowingly does something that will result in his or her own death. Now, this definition seems implausible in some instances. Suppose there's an elderly cancer patient. If this patient decides to go through painful chemotherapy, she has a 50% chance of living and a 50% chance of dying. However, if she refuses the treatment, then she will certainly die, but she will not be in as much pain as if she was to choose chemotherapy. Nonetheless, this already elderly cancer patient chooses to forego the chemotherapy. By definition, she is knowingly taking an action that will result in her inevitable death. But are we ready to say she is committing suicide? Obviously, there is a conceptual issue over what suicide means and how it is applied to this situation. Conceptual issues cannot appeal to facts, and they cannot appeal to moral standards. What counts is the meaning of a concept or term and its application. So, finally, we have moral issues. We just covered factual and conceptual. Finally, there are moral issues. Moral issues are the issues that are left behind after factual and conceptual issues have been resolved. And they present themselves in the form of a question, such as, does the state have a right to collect private information on its citizens without a judge's order? Or is doctor-assisted patient suicide wrong? Here we have arrived at the heart of any moral debate. Such questions can only be resolved by appealing to a moral principle or standard. Moral principles and moral standards are embodied in normative statements. So that is our next topic of investigation. Thanks for watching this video. I'll post more to come.